QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021 Customer Jobs Setup. Let's get into it with Intuit's QuickBooks Pro Desktop 2021. Here we are in our Get Great Guitars homepage. We currently have the open windows open. You can open the open windows by going to the view dropdown and selecting the open windows list. We're going to be adding jobs now. As we do so, remember that jobs are going to be kind of a specialty type of area typically used if you're going to be using some type of job cost system. We have another course on a job cost system. We might add some more information related to a job cost system below, but we want to touch in on the job cost system as we work through this practice problem as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Customer Center. You could do so by going to the Customer Center here, or to the drop down up top, the Customer Center. Now, oftentimes in a job cost system, you might have one client that you're doing multiple different projects for. For example, if you're in like a construction type of company, that's the traditional kind of thing that people would think of with a job cost type system. We might have one company that we're doing multiple jobs for, and we would like to have then the company here and then the sub job related to that company, so that we can assign the costs and bill based on that particular job related to the company. If we have an extended period of time that we're going to be doing the job, for example, if it's going to take like a year to do the job or a month to do the job or something like that, then we want to be able to track that information into that location as we work through the job. And if this also applies to like service companies and even bookkeepers and law firms who have a similar situation. They're not dealing with inventory or materials that they're purchasing per se, but they are working on a particular client, and they might have one client with different jobs that they're working on. Those jobs could be extended jobs because they might be longer jobs to do research and whatnot for them. So you might have a similar situation with a service company where you can have a client and then a job related to it. So let's do that now. For example, if we have Jones Guitar here, and we want to say, look, I want to basically look and track a job that is related to Jones Guitar, but I want to track these costs specifically to this particular job, possibly then thinking that we're going to track the costs to this job and then bill that job to the customer. So I need to track it not just to Jones, who might have multiple jobs, but to that one particular job, and then bill it at the end of the time period. So to do that, we're just going to, we got to make sure that we're on Jones Guitars here. So I'm selecting Jones Guitar. It is then highlighted. I'm going to go to the drop down up top, and we're going to just say add a job. And then all I really want is a job number to add it. So I'm going to assign it by number. 3005 is going to be the job number. Now that job number is applying already to the information to the customer of the customer that it is tied to. So we really don't need any other information down below. We're not going to be entering a beginning balance. All the other information down below is there from the fact that this job is related to Jones Guitars. So I'm going to then say OK. So now we have this job, and you can see that it's tied to by the fact that it's indented here, Jones Guitars, that be the client. Now we can bill to the job, and there's two different types of ways that you can basically bill to the job. Oftentimes when you have a job cost system, that's when, if I go back to the home page, if you were to bill some of the costs that you are picking up, such as if you were to buy materials or something like that and you wanted to bill it to a particular job, then you could enter a check or something like that just to check it out. If we entered a check here, then we might use this billable item to the right-hand side. So, right, we could assign it to a customer or job, which would typically be the job number. I'm not going to record this, just checking it out. And then we can make the item billable. You don't have an item here yet, but if we had an item here, we can click it off and make it billable. And that will often be used on a job, because then, closing this out, I'm going to say no. When you make the invoice, if we go on over to the invoice then, and bill the client at the end of the job, we can then pull over those billable items to the invoice as we go. Another item you might create or make billable is the enter time activity. So you might be entering time, and this is particularly the case for accounting firms or law firms that might have different people that they charge different rates to. So as you enter the time here, you can use that time to create the payroll information, but you can also use that time and assign a billable rate to it, so that you can then link it to your invoice when you create the invoice that you can then assign to a job basically in a job cost type of system. So I'm going to go back to our customer view up top, and we're going to just do this again. Let's do this for Sam, the guitar man. We're going to assign another job, so I'm just going to select Sam, the guitar man. We're going to hit the drop down up top. We're going to say I want to add a job. And once again, we're just going to be adding the number, which is going to be 4002. So we're just going to type in 4002. And then the data below is going to be tied to Sam the Guitar Man. There's not much data down here because we quickly added Sam the Guitar Man. We didn't add a lot of detail to it. But notice all I'm going to put here is the job number, and then I'm going to say OK. So we're going to say OK, and then once again it's indicated by the indentation, the 4002. So we then, when we do bill, we'll assign some costs so that we can see the billing to the job in future presentations, but realize once again that this is just a quick demo of the jobs feature. You want to take a look at or utilize this more if you're using basically a job cost type of system. And again, we do have a course on a job cost system. We might add some components to to this course after this practice problem. Adding these jobs has no effect to the financial statements, so we won't be taking a look at the financial statements. They will be having remained the same from the prior presentation.